All right, we're back. Profitable Agent Coaching. Today we're going over buyer presentations. Obviously, they're a necessity with the changing of our industry, the MLS lawsuits that have come into play, the fact that it'll be all over the board starting soon, probably minor at first. A couple of front runners that'll just get out there and say, you know what, we're going to offer zero cooperating compensation to buyer's agents. But overall, otherwise, it'll be a slow drip. But at the end of the day, also, this is just a good reason to change the way you work with buyers, because there's far too many buyer's agents that have just been accepting 2% for the last 2 years, because most commissions on the buying side have gone to 2%. And if you're paying a referral fee to an Opcity, Redfin, whatever, and you're closing even a $400,000 property, $8,000, you're taking $2,500 off the top for the referral fee to any of those companies, and then you're split, it's not working. So every one of us drives around, pays almost $4 a gallon for gas, driving buyers around for months and months and months. There's no doubt in my mind buyers agents deserve more. They deserve to be paid what they're worth, and they should be worth a lot more than just accepting 2%. So what I wanted to frame with you guys today was, and Derek and I want to go over, is just how to frame this and how to, yes, you should have a buyer presentation. There are many different ways you can find buyer presentations. I know for those that watch this with Real, you can go through the Marketing Center and get a buyer presentation. It's a 6-page presentation. Derek, I know you have a lot longer one. I have one too. It's fairly short. I haven't honestly used it in a while, so I'm just as guilty as many of you are, and that are going to be watching this and not using it every single time. But I know moving forward we have to. We're going to be pushing and really requiring our team members to follow this as well, because there are reasons for these meetups. I think the problem is we haven't seen them valuable, so we haven't pushed for them. And so the first thing I wanted to address is buyer presentation or question mark. What is a better name for it? Because no one wants to be presented to, so I think we first have to start looking at this in a different light. What can we call it other than a buyer presentation? Derek, you have any thoughts?
Oh yeah. The biggest thing is, I always tell my agents and my team members, to change the words you use when you're working with buyers. So, one of the big words I like to use when I'm meeting with a buyer for the first time, I refer to myself as a trusted advisor. So we talked about this briefly on the last call. So I'm trying to find the name for it, whether it's, buyer consultation. I would like to do something along the trusted advisor line, but to answer your question, I haven't changed the title to my, right now mine says VIP buyer presentation is what it says. That has to be changed. I know that.
But I think presentation could be replaced with words like exploration. Consultation slightly better, although it still feels presentation-like.
Correct. Exactly.
Nicole,
what do you think? I know Nicole started to talk there.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah. I'm thinking something a little bit more casual, like some really important information to share, or we've got some intel. We've got the inside information that's going to bring you on the inside of this process. It's going to be an advantage. It's an advantage point. So, how to summarize that?
Yeah. What if we call it just a next step planning meetup?
I think
a big thing I'm seeing is, just like everything in life, we're so bombarded, we're so ADD, that even when we get on new technology, we just want to know what the next step is. We almost want the technology to be like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do from here, so why don't you just pop something on the screen that tells me what the next step is? If you don't do that, I might get frustrated and I might leave. So we have to start thinking about real estate in that fashion too, what is the next step? And one of my, I have to somehow let him in. One of my thoughts with this is, just like in anything else, we have to earn the right to ask for that meeting. I don't think any of us have earned the right to that meeting until we've had at least a short conversation with them. It may be over the phone, it may be at that first showing, but that first showing, before you can even ask for a next step planning meetup, a buyer consultation, whatever it may be, you have to earn the right to that. So to earn the right to that, for me, that looks like asking them questions about, why are they looking to do what they're looking to do? What has you out there looking for a home right now? Why is buying a home important to you? And really just learning about why they're even looking to do what they're looking to do. By asking those questions and diving in with them a little bit on a personal level, you're going to earn the right to ask for that next step. And that, I think, is what a lot of agents are missing, and why they're so afraid to ask for these meetings is because they actually really haven't earned it yet. They're getting someone on the phone and they're thinking, okay, they want to go see a house. And what do? I want them to sign my buyer representation agreement. Well, you haven't earned the right to ask them that yet. So I think it's important to remember that is, you have to earn the right to ask for the next step. If we think of everything like a next step, then I think we switch gears with people, and you'd be willing to go out there and show them one property because you're hoping at that property, you're going to be able to ask some of those questions. Why you're looking to do what you're looking to do? Why are you looking in this area? Where do you live now? What do you like about where you live now? What don't you like about where you live now? So you're learning more about them. You're getting to an empathy level before you're asking for that next step. To me, it then leads into that next step. Once you have earned the right to ask, use this as a lead-in. Say, hey, you know what? Based on what the fact that you told me that you really want to get out of renting, you're just tired of paying money to the landlord, you hate your neighbors, I would recommend the next step we take is this. I want to set up a time to meet up in person, via Zoom or in person, to answer all the questions and concerns you have, so you're confident about taking the next steps towards buying a home or getting pre-approved. How does that sound to you guys? Does that feel better?
Yes, and the one big thing, Tracy, I think you hit the nail on the head. We have to take this back to the core root of the issue, and it's getting face to face. It's as soon as possible with that buyer. So, again, we talked about it on Monday. When a call comes in and a buyer wants to see a house, I don't want my agents, grilling them on the phone and pushing them away. I want them to take that appointment and meet them. But in brainstorming this with you and several other people over the past few months, everyone's so comfortable with Zoom these days, depending on the age of the buyer that you're attracting. It wouldn't be a bad idea to set up a Zoom meeting before you go see the property. And you can phrase it a few ways.
That's a good idea.
It's Tracy, I know we're going to go see this, 123 Main Street tomorrow. I'd like to do a quick 15-minute Zoom call with you, just so you get to meet me, I get to meet you, and we don't have that awkwardness standing in front of the house if there's more than one party there. It's and that way you can ask your questions, in that 15-minute Zoom and do your exploration on what their motivations are, and kind of what, if any of you are on the rocket fuel on Monday with Ryan and Emma, go through their motivation, their ability, and their willingness, and you can figure that out in a quick 15-minute Zoom call as well.
Totally.
I'm thinking, just within this conversation, is that if you're preparing some kind of coaching, it might be helpful for others to have like a list of questions. You know what I mean? Because listening is a really good skill. And if you just had some short questions that pinpointed the information as the seller's buyer's agent you're looking for, you can minimize the back and forth and just take it all in.
Tracy, can you have the ability to share my screen?
Yeah, sure.
real quickly.
Have a
Nicole, I'll
look.
show you I'll show you what I did
Questions I can
for my
share
buyer.
Let me make you a, yeah, and we do have a list of questions as well. I have a list of questions as well. Let me make you a host, Eric.
Well, Tracy's doing that. Nicole, have you listened to the audio book or read the book by Phil Jones, Exactly What to Say?
No, I haven't.
That's something that I'd highly recommend. It'd be a great weekend read for you. But this is something that I bullet pointed for my buyer agents when we were doing our kind of our book club around Phil Jones, Exactly What to Say. And it's, the big premises that, he was talking about is get comfortably uncomfortable and asking questions to make people open up. And these are just the lead-ins to their responses. So, open-minded is a great lead-in. So Nicole, I could be meeting with you and you're saying that you want to be in, and again, I don't know your marketplace that well in Western Mass, but or Central Mass, or what you guys call it. But like if a buyer around here was saying, Derek, I want to be in Amesbury, I would say, that's great. Would you be open-minded to the surrounding communities? And there's simple swaps that you can do. But these are all leading questions to get them to open up to you, if that makes sense. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
So it's a really good book. There's 2 books, Phil Jones, Exactly What to Say, and then Phil Jones, Exactly What to Say for Real Estate Agents. That one kind of takes the thinking out of the first one of how do I apply this to real estate? It's all geared toward real estate.
If you have Amazon Prime, you get free credits with audible.com. And I just listen to them as I'm driving. I'm
Nice.
driving to showings. I'm driving to pick up the kids. I'm listening to Phil Jones. I'd probably listen to it repeated 10 times, probably.
It's in the back of my mind. It's playing behind me all the time. Just so it's second nature. So it rolls off my tongue when I'm meeting with people.
All right.
We've got one more that wants to enter
and
here.
what we're going to do also is we will have a website with all the resources that we share in these sessions. We'll email that out to everybody so they have a link to it, so you get access to all those things. I'm going to show you one that I use as well. And again, we'll have all these resources available on a website for you to go download and use on your own. Here's one that I use. It's a guide to better questions and getting better results. So it basically has questions for creating conversations, has questions for new leads, it has questions for sphere of influence, and even door knocking. And I've used the Phil Jones kind of approach. Can you guys see that, right?
No, you gotta share.
Oh, I thought I did. Let me see, share screen. There we go. All right. So there we go. You can see it now?
Yep. Gotcha.
Where the hell am I? Got too many things going on the page at once here. So these are the questions that I'll upload as well that you guys can have access to. Just kind of, they're all got their Phil Jones spin on them. I'll go in here every once in a while and keep them, because I don't think you can ever become an absolute expert like Phil Jones without constantly improving what questions you ask. I like what's keeping you busy these days. If you ask someone how it's going at work and they're laid off, you don't want to ask them how it's going at work. What's keeping them busy these days? How's the family? Questions like that. Tell me a little about what you're looking for in a home. But really the only question you really have to think about with new buyers until the other questions just come to mind are going to be, basically what has you out there looking for a home right now? And when they say things, if there's an opportunity to ask, why is that important to you? That's a great question. Why is that important to you? Can really dig deep with some of these people. So you really want to, dig in with those questions and listen. You have to somebody said it the other day, I think it was on one of the other Rockefield calls too. Derek, maybe you'll remember this. Said, take off your something monster. take off your agent monster or your presentation monster and listen. You know, and every time, like they referenced the movie with what's that movie? Wolf of Wall Street. And
Yes.
how he wants to talk so bad that he has to put his hand over the end of the phone to not be talking and trying to listen, because we all want to just jump in and say, hey, I got a suggestion for you. I got a thought, you know, I got a tip for you. But we got to, you know, basically just sit back and listen and ask questions and let them talk as much as possible. I mean, that's
That's exactly what I was thinking when I was asking about a list of questions, that short questions to give them the stage. Because the more we can get them to talk, the better that it is. People don't want to listen anymore.
no.
We have to listen.
And they don't want to be presented to. And even though
No.
you have to have a presentation that's maybe on in the back end of the screen, it should never be anything other than a unique presentation to them. And that's why I even hate the word presentation, and I want to just throw it out the window and start, planning session, planning meetup, next step meeting, whatever you want to call it. I don't care. It's not a presentation anymore. We really have to get away from presentation and really think about this of like, hey, I just, you've earned that, you've taken that 15 minutes over the phone. I love Derek. I love the idea of getting on FaceTime, and especially for the female realtors out there, like, not that males shouldn't be concerned with safety also, but it is uncomfortable meeting someone for the first time that you don't know, especially if they're a new lead that came in from Google, Facebook, who knows where, and you're going to meet these people the first time. If it's uncomfortable for you, it's probably uncomfortable for them too. You don't think that they're sitting on the other side saying, I wonder if this is a real realtor or if this is some freak that's looking to stab me in the dark. So by saying, hey, I just wanted to give you a quick Zoom or FaceTime video call so we can just chat for a few minutes and get to know each other before we meet up. I think that's, I love to do that for both of our safety. I think that's a great lead in, because that 15-minute, no matter what, you need 15 minutes. I want at least 15 minutes on the phone, face to face, at a showing. I don't care what it is, before I feel like I've earned the right to ask for that next meeting, that next step, because you want to know what their goals are. You want to know their why, so you can say, hey, based on the fact that you said you really want to be in a home by the end of the year because you absolutely hate your landlord, the next best step in from my perspective is for us to have another meetup where we dive in a little bit more so that I can answer all the questions you have and make sure that you're ready to do this and all your questions are answered, so you can do this with the least stress possible and making sure that you don't make any mistakes along the way.
Well, Tracy, the other piece of that too is if you do that 15-minute call before that first appointment and you're asking effective questions and you're getting an understanding of their process, they only sent you one home to see. And again, I'm always a big proponent of trying to extend that first meeting in person to a couple of homes, to just have that much more FaceTime and they get more comfortable with you. Okay. Instead of a 15-minute showing and you're done. It's like you have no idea how that first date went. Okay. It's like, are we going to have another one or are we not going to? So if you have 2 or 3 homes in that first 15-minute call, again, you can ask them, okay, you sent me this home. What made you want to go see this home? Tell me more about that. Was it the backyard? I have a listing in Swampscott right now. I never thought the yard was going to be an issue. There's a school across the street and there's a playground at the top of the hill. It has a postage stamp of a yard, and 4 families like, nope, don't want it. So those are questions you can ask in that first 15 minutes, because you don't even have to tell them that you're setting up another house or 2. You can go through and select one that you think, based on that conversation, would be a good fit for them. And again, just show your value already, that you're already going to work for them.
And here's a thought on how to get them into a couple more homes that same day. Is say, if you think that if we see that home and you think it's absolutely right for you, I want to show you a couple comparisons just so you know you're making the right decision. Because if someone's seen one home, they're usually pretty fearful about making an offer on that home. If they've seen a few, they might be more comfortable in saying, okay, that feels like a good value in this market, or yeah, it's way better than the other two we saw. But also, I don't know how many times in my career I've showed people a property that they didn't think they really wanted to go see. And I'm like, just trust me. I know you enough to know I think this one is going to be something you like. And they do. Or how many times have we heard in our career, I don't want to split. And then they end up buying a split. So, that FaceTime is crucial. You can find reasons. There aren't many markets where you can't find 2 or 3 to show them. Even if you're pretty sure that's not going to be the home for them, show them 2 or 3. Get that time with them. You're going to be a lot more memorable when you have that hour to 2 hours with them. And especially in this market where there may not be another opportunity for a month or two, if you haven't spent that amount of time with them, it's going to be difficult. Obviously, you're trying to link the next step after those showings to being that presentation or the consultation, whatever you want to call it. But if that doesn't happen, because we know how people are, you're hopeful to get them from the first showings into an hour consultation over Zoom or in person, but they duck you, they have a busy life, they cancel on you, whatever it is, you may not have that other opportunity. So if they wanted to see that house, get them into 3.
Correct.
So then the meetup happens, you're able to get it. You're able to frame for them that, hey, just talked a little bit about your goals. You mentioned you want to buy because of this, this, and this. I think the next best step is to have it's probably about an hour long, a meetup to dive in deeper, answer any of the questions you have, because I'm sure you have questions about the buying process, and really help you know what all the next steps are going to be, so you're comfortable when the right home appears in front of you. So in order to do that, let's set up that meeting. So now you have that meeting. What's the first thing you want to do in that meeting? Ask them about their goals again. So let's go over again. Just tell me more again about what you're looking for home. Why do you want to do that?
Tracy, let's just take one step back. Okay, so when you're done showing that one house, or you got 2 or 3 houses in, right then and there is when you want to schedule your next appointment. Don't get in your car and drive away. Don't wait. Pull out your phone, pull out their calendar, whatever they have, and book that next appointment.
Yeah.
Okay. Tracy said it a couple times. It's the next step. A big mistake a lot of agents make is they say, oh, I'll give you a call in a few days and we'll talk. No, you have them there, book an appointment.
Yep.
Okay. You want to keep them motivated in that process. Tracy, I agree.
And the next step isn't to see more homes. You're right. The next step is to have that meetup. It's not to see more homes.
Correct.
Because you want that buyer representation agreement signed. And I love next step. It's, to me, they're magic words that they just will believe that that's the process. You don't have to say
I like that.
You don't have to say these are my policies. Policies sound terrible. This is the next.
Don't say that. Please don't use that word. They're going to run away.
Yeah. It's totally.
I'm also thinking that it might be an idea to put the ball in their court a little bit, like all these ideas in place for sure, like not to lose that, but to maybe lead in with what do you want to know? What do you want to know now that we're at the next step? Where do we start that?
Well,
and let them feel.
Yeah, those are questions you're going to ask at that second meeting too, where Tracy said you want to start with their goals again, but you want to ask them. You don't want to just assume that they've never bought a property before, so you got to ask questions as well. Hopefully by then, if they've already owned a home or not. Because if they own a home, then that next step meeting is at their house. It's not a coffee shop, not your office. Okay.
Right.
So those are questions you'll ask during the first one. But it's obviously that in that meetup, it's knowing what's important to them. And again, this is where we all do the same thing, where, I go through the entire home buying process. I show them the documents, they leave with the documents. And I can't tell you how many buyers we meet with that have been looking for homes for 2 years. And the agent has taken them to see a ton of homes, but the agent never showed them a contract to purchase.
Or even an agency disclosure.
Yeah, oh yeah, that's a big one too. I've never had to sign this before. Like, yeah, I know.
Yeah.
But again, it's showing them that you are a professional in the industry. And that gets me to the other step too, Tracy, before we go to the next stuff, is make sure you read the damn documents. Okay. I quizzed a new agent I had who's been working with me for about 2 months, and I blindfolded him. I'm like, go through the contract for me. He's like, what do you mean? I'm like, what do the paragraphs say? Read them in order. He's like, I need to see it. I'm like, no, you don't. It's not that hard.
Right.
So you got to do your documents. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, Tracy, go ahead. I'm not
All
going
right,
to
so I want to open up to some questions after we kind of do this full circle. And obviously, having your buyer presentation, if you need one, we can give you one. But make sure you ask the right questions to structure it how they want it to go. The last thing you want to do is take it in a direction or a down a road of wasted time that they don't want. So some buyers have to go through a home buying course with the lender or for the loan process. So if they've been through the whole process and they understand it, you don't need to do that. You can spend time on better things. But once you've kind of wrapped it all, you've shown some value, you've explained the process, you've answered questions that they had, the wrap up. What is the wrap up? If they don't have any other questions, the next steps from here, if you feel we are a good fit working together, is to go over and sign an agreement to work together. I don't want you to say contract. I don't like contract. You want to sign an agreement to work together. The reason we ask this is the next step for us is that this agreement protects us both in the process and doesn't leave you out in the cold. I've been working with this wording a little bit because this is, obviously in the past, buyers could kind of get away without signing one, and buyers don't know a lot of that's going on. We don't want to dive into explanations of all this other stuff, but the industry is changing a lot. We could even say this to the buyers. The industry is changing a lot right now. And in the past, most sellers, they were contributing, but they weren't necessarily contributing to a full buyer representation success fee. And soon we may see them offering no cooperating fee. And this is going to, we may see them offering, I was going to continue on this, but basically you can explain to the buyer that, we can address, and we should talk about this because this is going to be the part that we really have to work with moving in the forward. Is if if for instance, the seller is not contributing the whole fee, there's different ways we can approach that. And we will talk about this when we view properties, and we'll find out what the seller is offering for compensation.
So Tracy, this is where, before I even get to this point, we've done the steps. Okay. So we've went over their goals. We explained the process. Okay. Before we get to the wrap up, you have to, in today's market, and even going forward 6 months to a year, you're going to have to, as a buyer agent, separate yourself from the herd. Okay. And you have to know your value. Okay. I know agents, and I'm one of them. I hate bragging about our past successes and what we've accomplished and how many people we've helped. You got to get comfortable with having that on a piece of paper where you can say, here's my resume. This is what I do. Okay. You have to get comfortable with that. But the other thing, and we can do a whole class on this, Tracy, is hunting for your buyer. Okay. Because this leads me into your last paragraph here about no compensation.
Yep.
Okay. So, Nicole, if you're working with a buyer right now in West Boylston, what's the median price point in West Boylston?
Honestly, I don't know. I'm thinking probably 400,000.
It's
Okay.
probably 420 to 30.
So how much inventory is available in that price point?
Barely any. Like probably
Not much.
1 or 2
10
properties,
houses.
probably.
Okay. Like 1 or 2 houses, you said?
Yeah, let's just see.
Pull it up for me real quick.
We'll do both Boylston and one at
Westminster.
370, 1 379, 399, and then it jumps to 559. So there's 3 properties under 550.
Yeah.
All right. So
Prices are
the system I use is called PropStream. There's many systems out there like this that you can use. But if I type in West Boylston, we go. And let's say on the value of the home, you said median's about 4, like mid 4s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna do between 400 and 500,000. And the property characteristics, I'm gonna put what people want, like a 3-bed,
Yeah.
minimum 0.5 bath.
Yep.
Okay. In West Boylston, that's a tough market to find. There's only 540 houses that match that criteria. Okay. But what I do, this is setting up proper expectations with the buyer, but it's also knowing your value to them. So with PropStream, I can buy name, phone number, email address, obviously property address for 10 cents a name. Okay. So that list is going to cost me about $50. All right. To get that data. I show them that how I'm different than every other realtor out there is I'm not going to wait for MLS to show us homes. I'm going to go hunt for you and find you a potential off-market home. Can I guarantee that we find it? No. But I'm going to work for you. And in doing this, the reason why I need a buyer agency agreement with you is when we make the offer to the homeowner, I don't have a contract with that homeowner. Okay. I'm working for you, the buyer agent. I'm working and representing you. So my contract's with you, and my success fee is X%, whatever you're comfortable, whatever you think your value is. Okay. Mine's more than what MLS offers. Okay. I'm going to hunt for them. But what this does for you as an agent, okay, is and when I do this for a buyer, I usually get between 5 to 10 homeowners that are interested in selling. Okay. Just like Tracy said, when you bring that buyer to the first house, are they going to love that house? I have no idea. Okay. However, the buyer knows you're working for them. When they talk to their colleagues around the water cooler at work, and they have another friend that's looking for a house, and you say, well, yeah, my realtor's showing me 2 or 3 homes that aren't even on the market yet. Are the other realtors doing that? And the answer is no. Okay. But it also gives you 5 to 10 homeowners that are at the very beginning stages of thinking about selling their home. So not only are you working for your buyer, okay, but you're also giving yourself a pipeline of potential sellers that you can stay in communication with.
Yep. 100%.
So that's where, Tracy, that's how I frame the buyer agency agreement with the cooperating fee.
Yeah.
Because the buyer gets it. I'm working for them. We're hunting for them. And we get the agreement signed.
Right. I mean, in asking them to sign that, and so the whole thing with this is seeing if you can carry them from one step to another, to another, to another. So they sign it. Now you're okay, next step, we're going to start seeing homes this week. I'm going to pick out some, you can pick out some, we're going to go out. When's your first availability to go look at some homes? Okay, those weren't it. Let's set up some more for next week. Sounds like these days are the best for you and for me. So let's set up the next ones. And you're carrying them, you're trying to prove out how serious they are about what they told you they were serious about. If at any
Correct.
point they take a pause or they say, whoa, then you can ask more questions. Are the houses not meeting your criteria? Are you just feeling like there's too much competition? What are you feeling? So you're constantly trying to test what they told you, because people won't tell you everything. People will lie to you. And one of the reasons you want to ask them about their goals again when you first have that 15-minute chat, and then at your meetup to go over in depth, is you want to see if they match. Sometimes those two moments in time won't match. They tell you one thing in the 15-minute session, and they might be more comfortable with you now and tell you a lot more the second time around. So don't assume that just because you already asked the questions that it's the same answer. So that's one part of it. The other part of it is we're trying to, in this market, like every agent that's working with a lot of buyers leads knows they have a lot of buyer leads, but they don't, oftentimes they don't know where they are in the process. They don't know which of those 100 buyers are the most serious that they should spend the most time on scouring the MLS every day. So you want to have that bucket of 6 to 10 to 15 buyers that have signed buyer representation agreements that you can be testing every week to see which ones are going to keep moving next step, and which ones are going to just take a pause at some part of that step process and say, I don't know, or like, let's just take a break for the holidays, whatever it may be. We're trying to test that and figure out which ones are immediate buyers and which ones are down the road. This is a lot easier when there's a lot of inventory because you'll get showing requests from buyers every week. It's much harder in a market of low inventory and with high interest rates because the fact that they're not going out every week, there's something they're not telling you. So that's the stuff we have to uncover. And that's the reason to get these signed now is you can uncover which are your most serious.
Exactly.
You know, if you had 15 buyers with buyer representation agreement signed and you're talking every week with those 15, you're feeling pretty good right now. They may not be closing next month, but they probably could be closing in January, February, March. If you don't have any right now, then what do you really have? You have a bunch of contacts is all you have. You have no idea which ones of those are actually looking to take the next step. So it's crucially important to get the buyer game together if you're going to work buyer agency. Well, other sessions we'll talk about how to get listings because I think that's the name of the game right now. But there are people out there and there are agents out there that love to work with buyers. And if you do love to work with buyers, you got to have your game on point. It doesn't mean you have to be a jerk. You can smoothly walk people from step to step to step. So I think we're out of time, but any questions, Nicole, or anybody else that's watching silently in the background wants to ask before we jump off here? I know Travis said he had
No, this was helpful. It was really good. Thank
good.
you.
Awesome. Well, we got the
Thank you,
recording.
Nicole.
We'll share the recording and we'll see you on the next one.
Awesome.
guys.
Thanks, guys. Have a great day.